Hey everyone, Ben here. Thanks for being here. Thanks for showing up for yourself each and every day. We're going to do a Sunday morning ink blot here. I was really drawn to blue, and it was really rich. I even got the other blue, threw in white. And then I was thinking, blue with this emotion, it's so deep, it's so pure. It's connected to our heart. Then I felt I needed one more color, so we got yellow. I will drop, and we'll see what comes through, and we'll go from there. See you in a bit. All right, everybody, should be able to see what I dropped and then what came through. I feel like in the beginning, blue. So I had to do a lot with emotions, water. It was really giving that tone. Also, we can look at that as our throat chakra. And I felt right before I did that part, I did a bunch of messages in between, but I feel like I remember having to have everything organized perfectly. Like everything had to be perfect. And when we look at this, like the first thing I see is we have this mask in the middle, and it has wings. We can look at that as external from the main body or vessel here. And then I was drawn to a situation yesterday where I'm not knocking anybody here. This is just for reference, but there was two gentlemen that had like perfectly chiseled bodies, and they were walking so slowly, very, very into themselves, if we will. And they look at me, and then they look back down at their body, and it was kind of like appalling. Like I couldn't stop laughing because it was just so full of themselves. But it led to this thought of how difficult must that be to withhold or uphold that image. Like they probably have to focus on that every day to keep that perfectly shaped the way that it is. And we can think of, like what job do you need those muscles for? Maybe an actor or a model, that it has to be that perfect. And we can look at, I've done a lot of physical jobs, and I may not have that physique, but you don't have to look that way to have all those muscles to do that. But we're going back to this image and it being external. And we can look at the yellow as the solar plexus. And that is our self-confidence, how we perceive ourselves. And if it's external of us, we're holding up that image. We go back to the beginning when I said I had to have everything perfect. It had to be in order to withhold this image. I'm not saying anybody's situation is as drastic as the one I explained here previously, but let's really view this. Is our confidence in our appearance, what we surround ourselves with, do we have to constantly hold that up to present ourselves in a way, to feel good about ourselves? And that's all in the external. That's not here. Down here in the bottom, we can see the solar plexus is blended in with the green. Our heart. How we feel about ourselves. How we love ourselves. And we're not at the mercy of the external and how it presents itself, or responds to us, I should say, of how we show up in the world. We have all these emotions, and it's all tied into the heart down there below with our solar plexus. So if I didn't offend anybody, but it's real questions to ask ourselves. That's a lot to hold up. As I mentioned with those gentlemen, it's probably every day, and I don't know how long they have to work at it to maintain that. And if we're in a space that we feel good about ourselves, We are at the mercy of everyone else in the external when it's external of us. It's not internal. It is what we see, what I surround myself with, and what they think of me. Means I'm nobody in this game. They're the judge. They're the audience of my life. I'm not living my life. I'm living it for them. And I'm at the mercy of anybody with a different opinion of what I want them to have, which is kind of setting ourselves up for failure. Got one card here, and that's all we're going to use out of that deck. Breath of the Cosmos. My will to thy will, micromanaging the universe. This is going against the internal. So how I feel about myself, we're co-creating here. The mirror is in action. And if I feel poorly about myself, that's going to be expressed in the external. I'm going to see that reflection. It's going to prove itself to me. So with this mask, this solar plexus external of us, I'm trying to change how I feel about myself by trying to change the external. And we can't, it doesn't work that way. It has to, we have to change in here for the external to change. So, a fair amount of the population, whether on extreme levels or smaller levels, we are continuously showing up in a certain way to change what the external's perception of us is. And that's us trying to change the game through how we perceive it. It's not done, it's done inside, but we're not doing it that way. So how can we, again, I don't know how this plays out in your life. You would know. And what do you really try hard to withhold up? I don't know why I keep saying that. Hold up in this experience to present yourself a certain way. Maybe that's something you're lacking inside. That's the greatest clue. Because why else would we be putting so much energy outside of us to show up in a certain way, to be perceived this way, because we don't have it. The Ace of Wands reverse, creative block. We would be stuck in this situation, not seeing the results. Why is it not being responded the way that I want it to be received or responded? I want it. I'm excuse me, showing up in this way. I'm presenting myself this way. Why am I not seeing the reward of it? Because I don't believe it in here. I'm looking for the validation or the proof outside of me when it needs to be inside of me. And that's through the heart. When we create that inside for ourselves. I was going to say that. So we got the Emperor sideways. Discipline and chaos. And we're looking at this sideways. So I did a message earlier that touched on this fine line between, we can say, we have suppressed individuals, victims, less than, wounded, on this side, we'll say. And then on this side, we'll say we have a very self-centered, negative personality trait, egotistical individuals. When we are in that wounded victim state, I don't have good self-esteem. I don't have good self-confidence. And I see all of these people that are very full of themselves or egotistical and do have this mask, but they also believe they are that. They have that belief. And I'm over here, I'm this wounded, suppressed victim to them. I am less than, I'm not good enough. That fine line is balancing both of those. coming into true authenticity. I'm not seeking all of this external, but in this space, I don't think I'm entitled. And also, I don't want to be viewed like them. So, uh, being in the middle here, we can look at the chaos as that very egotistical space. We can become very foolish. We can look in the mirror and fall in love with ourselves, and we are the best and all that jazz. We obviously don't want to go to that extreme, but we have to find that confidence inside of us. And it's not found in this imagery. It is found inside. It is us. It is there. But we often seek the external for this proof. Five of Cups, disappointment. This is going back to how we've been presenting ourselves or showing up and expecting something to come back from it. It's not working. It's not showing up the way that we thought it was going to, because it's not true inside of us. We don't believe it, so why would anybody else believe it? Which is a horrible way to say it, but if we don't have that belief, that egotistical individual believes they are what they are. And that energy, whether it's good or bad, it vibrates the same. If you have some really negative person that's into very dark things and they believe they have powers to do things, it will manifest because they wholeheartedly believe it. No different than that. It's easier to look at these people that we deem as bad or we don't like their behavior, and why do they get what they get, or why do they experience what they experience, and they always win and yada yada. It's because they actually believe it. In this space, we don't believe we are worthy, we are good enough, we have a voice, we can be appreciated and respected, and we are attractive or worthy of whatever type of individual that we would like to have or be in a relationship with, or job, or whatever it is. We don't believe that, and we're supporting it here in the external, hoping to get that proof that we are good enough or that we can have this. And without that belief, there will be no reward or proof. The Hermit, introspection, spending some time inside to find out the truth. Two, any truth is true. It is our truth. But the truth that lies here in this message is that the external isn't the place to go for it. The external will follow once it's built in self. And how can we build it in self when we're constantly looking for it in the external? We can't. All of our energy, our focus is going in the wrong direction. It must be formed in self. And that might be some isolation, some pulling back, really focusing on generating and cultivating this in self versus going back to the people that we feel, I don't want to say threatened, but that's kind of what came up against. Like, we're threatened by their image or their energy, and it makes us feel less than. So we can't really go to them to be lifted up if they're the ones suppressing us here. We must generate this in self. And it's all there. It is all there. The Hangman reversed. A resistance. Can't really just come out of the gate and say, hey, I'm confident all of a sudden. You know, going back to that fine line, and we really have to get into our perception, our perspective, and identity. how we truly see ourselves. And this whole comparison game, who made what, who made value in what? Somebody that benefited off something made something valuable. It really comes down to what value you place on things and what you believe is valuable. And I'm not saying that doing bad things or not taking care of ourselves is the best avenue, but it's your life, and what you place value on is personal to you. It's also personal to your wounds and your insecurities, which is where this all came from. And that came from the external. So why are we allowing them to place value on something that ended up hurting you or putting you in this position in the first place? This is where it's all really comes back to self. And we have to be okay with the open-mindedness that we would need to see what is valuable. And am I placing value on this because of this insecurity or because of this wound? Because if I am, and I value whatever the outcome is for that insecurity, I'm still going to feel insecure. I'm still going to have that wound because all I'm doing is just feeding that. I'm pacifying it. No different than, say, one of those gentlemen is really insecure and he had to have all those chiseled muscles to feel better about himself when really he is extremely insecure about himself. And he continuously tries to withhold that image or to go further than it already is. And it's still not doing anything because he doesn't feel it inside. So this is where we, again, like I said, you have to really be honest with yourself of where these values came from and why is it valuable? Is it valuable for a wound, or is it valuable for your true self, for your heart, for what actually is going to bring you fulfillment? We'll get one last card here. A Page of Swords reversed. A better judgment. This is making decisions not for the wound or for the insecurity. This is for you, your true self, your true fulfillment, your true happiness. Not everything we see on TV, the internet, out in public, what is advertised. It is there for a reason. It is there to tell you that you're not fucking good enough. And if you had this, you would be. If you did this, you would smile like this person in this picture. And that is not true. We all have different likes and dislikes, different things we get excited about, and different things that bring us joy and value. Just because we look a certain way doesn't mean that we have to like certain things or behave a certain way. We can have totally different interests and opposites here. Verse X, Y doesn't matter. We are entitled to be who we are. And when we make decisions out of the wounds, we're just doing it for the wound or the insecurity, not self. I'm going to leave this here. If this resonated, feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe. If you need any more help with it, check out oceanprizes.com, and I will talk to y'all later. See ya.